Stay tuned and let's take a look at this Marvel Legends Spider-Man animated VHS 2-pack with Green Goblin and Mary Jane. Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. And remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well if I show some love, or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are taking a look at this Marvel Legends Spider-Man animated series VHS 2-pack with Green Goblin and Mary Jane Watson. Now if you watch this channel then you already know that Spider-Man animated show in the 90s was my gateway drug to all things Marvel. So my mind's eye of so many characters is how they appeared in that show. So I am very happy to have the opportunity to add these character designs to my collection, especially the yellow sweater Mary Jane. That is definitely the highlight of this set for me. We have had a couple of attempts at Green Goblin before, so of course today we will do all the comparisons to help make your mind up. But I am excited all the same, as this retro packaging just pulls at my nostalgic heartstrings. I really do like it, even though selfishly I would love Mary Jane on the retro card, but at least we have her in plastic. So there we have the front of the packaging. Bravo, Harry Moore on the packaging art. Always a pleasure seeing this in hand. There we get the two VHSs on the side, both staring at each other. Always annoyed that it says 1 and 2. Like, if there's 8 figures in this sort of setup, surely we should have had 1 to 8, not every box set saying 1 and 2, even though they are a set. So it makes sense, but sort of doesn't at the same time. On the back of the box, we get 2 digital renders, no write-ups or wave association or anything like that. Just Green Goblin, Mary Jane Watson, and then there they are again on the side. As I said, super nostalgic. Let's waste no time. Get it open. Here we have Green Goblin and Mary Jane Watson out of the packaging with all of their accessories. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that we got the unmasked Norman Osborn head. Because the back of the packaging didn't reveal all the accessories, it just genuinely slipped my mind. And that is a new head sculpt as well, not one that's just repainted from the past. Even the Green Goblin head sculpt is new, and the glider's been updated to make it more screen accurate as well. And of course, this is the first time in the sort of recent Legends era we've had Mary Jane in that yellow sweater look. So these two both scream animated series to me, which is their intention. So we're off to a good start. So let's look at these individually, one by one, and let's start off with Mary Jane. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the outfit she was introduced to us in the animated show. Peter Parker opened the door and the rest was history. Like many animated characters, this is a recurring look, as she has a very small wardrobe. So that iconic red hair, the yellow sweater, the pink turtleneck and the cowboy boots is my mind's eye forever of Mary Jane. And now we have it in pinless, glorious plastic. Great, solid representation of that character design for our collection. Let's zoom in. Taking a closer look at their head sculpt, I think they have done a great job of bringing what is essentially a 2D image into the 3 dimension, into plastic, using that digital face printing tech. It really does look like Mary Jane from the animated show, especially from certain angles. So hopefully it comes across on camera. I really like the length of her bangs as the fringe sort of goes over the face, but you can still see the nice eyes there with some nice makeup. The eyebrows are under there too, and then she's got the red lips with a little smile. You just see a little glint of the teeth, or maybe the lips are just shining there, a little bit of lip gloss. But the head is all brand new. Again, it's not reuse, and the hair goes down the back. There is a little bit of shading as well in the hair, especially above the shoulder, but it does create some natural shadows with the lights anyway. Now, looking up is going to be limited because of the length of her hair, but the head is on a dumbbell, not the disc and hinge, so it doesn't break up any of the nice sculpt of the turtleneck, and you also get a looking down, you get some tilt, and of course you get the swivel as well. So nice range in the head sculpt. Then you get the iconic yellow sweater with the pink turtleneck that goes all the way up. You get the 3 buttons down the side. Now the shoulders will go all the way up past 90, but unfortunately she has single jointed elbows. Now they are pinless, so that's a plus. Now would I prefer double jointed? Yes, always. But for me, is it necessary for this character? Probably not. So not a massive gripe for me personally on this one. As long as it looks like what she's meant to represent, no complaints. They've got the pink cuffs. Now sometimes she had it in the show, sometimes she didn't. So again, I prefer that they've added it, just gives it a nice pop of colour. So yeah, shoulders go up, swivel in the elbow, single joints, and then you've got a joint in the wrists as well. The diaphragm articulation is all up top, so you get a nice bit of tilt there, as well as your swivel, and a nice bit of range going back. Not so much going forward, but still enough range for Mary Jane Watson. You've got the jeans with the swivel up top there at the thigh, double jointed pinless knees. Very happy about that. This is a completely pinless Marvel Legend figure. Going down to those cowboy boots that do have a swivel in the boots as well. Very nicely done. Ankle pivot and rocker. Now sometimes in the show she does have like a little trim of colour on the top of the boots, but again, not a major gripe from me. Now if I zoom out a little bit, you can see the legs go out about that far, forward about that much, and as I said, you've got the swivel there too. So all in all, I think this is a solid representation of Mary Jane from that animated show. So if you are a fan of that animated show, you are going to be very happy with this in hand. Really like it. Out of the box, she comes with one of each hand, but we do get a set of fisted hands, so she can punch that Green Goblin in the face, but all figures should come with fisted hands as standard. And we also get a set of open palm, more expressive hands that we see on some female Marvel Legends. So you have a couple of options. For a quick comparison, here we have our animated Mary Jane compared to an amalgamation of a comic Mary Jane, as that's the sort of comic body with a custom tank top and then the head sculpt that came packed with Gwen Stacy. You know what I'm talking about. Now you can see that our animated Mary Jane is just a smidge smaller. She hits the 6-inch mark basically exactly, but she is just a tiny bit smaller than our comic Mary Jane. But as you can clearly see, it is completely different, including the head sculpt. And if we zoom in, you can see that the hair's different, the colour of the hair is obviously different, and the sculpt of the face is different. So completely brand new head sculpt treatment for our animated Mary Jane. Very nice to have two options. For anyone curious of the head swap, I wouldn't recommend it. The skin tones are all off and it doesn't really look good, but they will pop on either body. Maybe you could get away with the comic head on the animated body. Maybe the comic head on the animated body would work, but definitely not the other way around. And of course I needed to see how our two animated accurate females look together, and it does make me very happy to have these two characters represented in plastic how they appeared on that animated show. Forever my mind's eye of Mary Jane Watson and Aunt May. The colours just pop, but Hasbro, don't stop here. I want a Felicia Hardy. Moving on to Green Goblin. Now I've went ahead and put on some of the accessories to complete the look. So we have the green man bag satchel, and we also have the purple modified glider, which definitely makes him a lot more animated accurate to the previous version, because this is the third Green Goblin we have gotten in the recent Hasbro era. And if I bring in the other two, we can just get into a comparison out of the gate here. So let me zoom out so we can see what we got going on. Now, to be fair, this first version we got a good few years back was never meant to be an animated accurate version of Green Goblin, and still to this day holds strong as a comic representation of Green Goblin with that nice chainmail in the sort of metallic green. But that got repainted, which was on the animated style retro card, which we see over here. So it is a straight up repaint of that first release, but in the animated sort of colours, but the head sculpt was again not quite right. So they have gotten this third one a little bit better. As you can see, the glider is different, the colour palette is similar to that retro release, but it is now much more accurate. You have the different tones of the pink on the trunks to the body, the gloves and the boots. Obviously the satchel is now animated accurate in green rather than being pink, and then the head sculpt as well is much more animated accurate. So if I throw all of the Green Goblins on the rotating base just so you can see them spin around for yourself, you have options for your display. Now remember, that first Goblin was never intended to be an animated accurate one, so that one is fair game as a comic Goblin, but these other two are both meant to represent that animated Goblin. But let's be honest, the one on the retro card doesn't do the best of jobs. So this VHS version of Green Goblin is undoubtedly the best one and the most accurate to the animated show. Taking a look at the gliders separately for a second, just so you can see the subtle differences. They are basically all the same sculpt. As you can see, they are the exact same size, but this new one is more animated accurate in regards to it being purple like it was on the show, and also the head is more accurate as well. If we zoom in, you can see the yellow eyes painted on there with this new sculpted head, which is different to the previous versions that just had like a very generic detail. So yes, this new glider is definitely the most animated accurate one we've got, but it's probably still a little bit too small. Back to the Goblin and taking a closer look at their head sculpt, as I think this time round they have done a much better job of making it animated accurate. The previous retro version got a lot of stick off the community as it had bug eyes, the ears were too long, it just wasn't quite right. This time round they've done a much better job of making it screen accurate with the beady eyes and then the sort of black outline, and even the facial expression is an expression you can see on the show. If I bring in all three of the Goblin head sculpts just for comparison's sake, you can see how vastly different all of them are, with this new animated one being much more different than the previous two, but for the right reasons. I do think in hand people will be impressed with this head sculpt. I like the beady eyes with the black outline, the open mouth expression, the ears, the do-rag, much better than their previous attempt. And yes, the figure is just reuse, it's just redecoed. We've got the double jointed pins on the elbows and on the knees, so we've seen this body before, but now the colours are screen accurate, with the trunks being a different sort of shade of purple to the pink of the rest of the uniform. As I said, the man bag is now accurate and green, even the bout is accurate as well, so including the glider now, all in all a much more screen accurate looking animated Goblin. Very, very nice. So yeah, I'm not going to waste time over the body here. We've had this body a few times. You know what we're going to get in regards to articulation. Let's check out that Norman Osborn head. So as I said earlier, I'm pleasantly surprised to see that this is a brand new sculpted head for this figure and not just a sort of repaint with a new deco of the previous one. If I bring in a side-by-side of this head sculpt compared to the last Norman Osborn head sculpt we've got, you can see it's a vast improvement. The head itself is just better proportioned and it's got a nicer sculpt with that sort of evil expression, and obviously his trademark sort of hair as well. But yeah, a much nicer head sculpt compared to the previous version. As you can see, the digital face printing tech sort of has given it like some dark shadowing around the eyes. Of course he's corrupted when he is Green Goblin, so he's a little bit sinister looking, so I like that sort of little jokerish grin with the darkness around his eyes. And then of course he's got that trademark sculpted hair with those sort of lines. How do you even get a hairstyle like that? Only Norman Osborn knows, but it is definitely passed down through the families. But yeah, that is even textured to touch with the sculpted lines. So yeah, great Norman Osborn head sculpt. So all in all, it gives you two options. You can either have your unmasked Norman Osborn Green Goblin, or you can keep the mask on. I also wanted to try the head sculpt on a sort of regular Marvel Legends suited body. So I've got an old Coulson body here, and as I said, the head is proportionately just a little bit bigger, so it doesn't really fit this body. Maybe we need one of the bigger body molds, but overall we need a new Marvel Legends sort of standard suited body, which is completely pinless. But if you wanted this head sculpt on a suited body, that's what you get. And then the very last accessory, he comes included with one pumpkin bomb that we've seen a couple of times in Marvel Legend, which is nicely done with the little pumpkin face with the translucent green effect. And as you can see, it fits snugly in the hand. So if you wanted to pose him up holding it, you just got to be careful, but he will absolutely hold it in his hand for display. But overall, liking this Goblin. Is it perfect? No, of course not. What Marvel Legend is, for example, it could have been completely pinless and it could have had a better range of articulation, but ultimately it is a solid representation of that animated Green Goblin for your display. Definitely the most accurate we have gotten so far, so I am very happy with it. I like it a lot more in person than I thought I was going to. At first I thought, oh no, not another Goblin, but looking at it in hand, comparing it to the others, it's definitely the most accurate animated one we've got. And for me, that's my mind's eye. So yeah, get out on a flight stand, I'm happy. Moving into comparisons, we've already seen him compared to the previous Goblins, but not this one, because this is Hobgoblin from the retro card. These are the most animated accurate versions of the Goblins we have so far, and undoubtedly they will pop on any display for sure. And how about this for animated accurate? This definitely gives me the nostalgic feeling I want to feel when I look at my display. We have the recent animated retro carded Kraven, and then of course the previous VHS box set animated Doc Ock. So these are looking really nice, but there's a villain we're missing, Hasbro. His name is Chameleon. Bringing back Mary Jane and of course Spider-Man himself in the animated cel shaded colours. Now I don't mind that as a one-off gimmick, they do look good together, but I am glad in general they avoided cel shading in the recent VHS 2-packs. It just allows you for more variety in the display. You may still like these figures but not want them in an animated setup. You might want them in a comic setup. So here we have the recent Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, just so you can see that of course these figures still work in a sort of comic format if you want to. It's your display, you create your own rules, but if you're a fan of that animated show, you're going to be very happy with these too. Here we have a couple more civilians, as we had to see what Peter Parker looked like compared to Mary Jane. However, he isn't technically an animated accurate version of Peter Parker. Hopefully that's to come, but these two still pair up nicely, and then, well, the less time that Gwen Stacy and Green Goblin spend together, the better. Here we have the retro Black Cat. I told you we need a Felicia Hardy now. And then of course the more animated accurate retro carded Scorpion. If you want to see any particular comparisons, just hit me up on Instagram. I'll be happy to take a picture for you. But for now, let's wrap up with the Who crew. We have Frogman, Tigra and Jocasta, who's currently reading out comments. Whose comment did you pick today?
Ya boys got toys 5156 says, "Oh Daniel, why did you program me for lust? I'm so hot and bothered, but I'm just a dummy thick bot."
And last but not least, Captain Britain and Hal, Fire, Hank. Final thoughts on this Marvel Legends animated series VHS 2-pack with Green Goblin and Mary Jane Watson. Honestly, she has been on my Marvel Legends wish list, so I am very happy to tick her off. It is a solid representation of Mary Jane from that animated show in Marvel Legends form. I would have brought this set regardless of who else was in it, but luckily for me, it was a nice animated accurate Green Goblin, which is an upgrade to any previous version. So ultimately, if you are a fan of this animated show, then yes, you need this set. Two great representations of two big characters. It just makes me more curious what that fourth box set is going to be. We already know there is one more, but what is it? I've said my prediction, Peter Parker and Chameleon. I like the concept of one civilian with a villain, and let's be honest, we need an animated Peter Parker, and Chameleon is that glaring gap in the collection. But there has been another few suggestions throughout there. People have said Blade and Punisher, maybe a Felicia Hardy and a Morbius. Rich M said Stan Lee and a Madam Web. I'm not mad at any of those options. I'll be happy with all of them. You let me know in the comments below what you think that fourth 2-pack is going to be. And let me know what you think of this set. Let me know in the comments. And remember, Jocasta may pick it to read out on the next review. But until then, you can check out the videos tab, the playlist, the podcast. But most importantly, please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Hit all of the notification bell. Don't miss out on a video. And please hit that join button. Become a channel member. Either show some love or join the members club. Much, much appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. I'm on Twitter as well. Don't be shy. Tweet me, Dan Who Reviews. And until then, I would of course see you on the next one.